Rent-A-Girlfriend is what happens when a vending machine tries to dispense emotions and accidentally gives you an empty can of soda instead. I've seen romantic comedies. I've seen melodramas. I've even seen sitcoms about robots falling in love. But Rent-A-Girlfriend may be the first anime where the central romantic dilemma is less about love and more about emotional incompetence being monetized. This is a show that asks, what if emotional maturity was a subscription service? Let us begin with our protagonist, Kazuya, a character who appears to be a sentient ball of cringe given human form. He's 20, freshly dumped, and instead of, I don't know, reading a book or taking up gardening like a sane person, he chooses to rent a girlfriend. That's right, rent a girlfriend, like a DVD, or a disappointing holiday apartment. And this isn't satire. No, the show plays this concept with the wide-eyed sincerity of a motivational poster, except instead of, hang in there, it's, lie to everyone around you indefinitely. The girlfriend in question is Chizuru, who is so absurdly idealized she might as well come with background violin music and a halo. She's the perfect girlfriend, supportive, smart, beautiful, and always just one frustrated sigh away from quitting this entire gig and getting a restraining order. The problem is not the premise. Fiction is full of ridiculous premises, giant robots, talking animals, Adam Sandler rom-coms, but good fiction explores those ideas with purpose. Rent-A-Girlfriend just wants to wallow in a puddle of awkward misunderstandings, shouty reactions, and more secondhand embarrassment than a high school talent show hosted by your uncle with no filter. The plot is structured around a house of cards made entirely of lies and not even clever lies. Kazuya tells his friends, his family, and even his dying grandmother that Chizuru is his real girlfriend. It's like watching someone build a relationship Jenga tower using banana peels. Each episode seems dedicated to testing how far a human being can humiliate himself without being arrested or sectioned. And yet, somehow, the women around him, all drawn like they escaped from a dating sim, keep engaging with him, not because he's kind, not because he's brave, but because the script insists he is earnest. That's the anime equivalent of giving someone a medal for turning up. By the time the fourth or fifth girl enters this bizarre rental harem, I felt like the show was gaslighting me into believing this was normal. It's not. It's emotional fanfiction written by someone who was confused having a crush with emotional hostage-taking. Visually, it's passable. The animation is slick, the girls sparkle, and every time Kazuya opens his mouth, you wonder how he hasn't been banned from society. The soundtrack features a lot of dramatic piano, presumably to distract you from the fact that you are watching a man accidentally grope a woman and then monologue about his feelings for 45 minutes. In a way, Rent-A-Girlfriend is a tragedy. Not for the characters, but for the audience. Because we are witnessing the slow, painful erosion of narrative believability replaced with self-insert fantasies, and a belief that shame is the same thing as character development. Bottom line, if you've ever watched The Bachelor and thought, this would be better if everyone were more emotionally constipated, congratulations. This is your show. For the rest of us, this is not romantic. This is not realistic. This is a cry for help. Animated. Gibate is the kind of disaster that makes you question whether the animators were being held at gunpoint, or perhaps just really confused. It is an anime so profoundly incompetent that it achieves something rare in television. It defies the laws of narrative, character development, and basic artistic coherence. If someone attempted to recreate anime using only vague childhood memories and a broken computer, the result might look like this. The plot is as follows, and I apologize in advance. A samurai and ninja are transported from feudal Japan to a post-apocalyptic 2030 where a virus turns humans into monsters based on the internet fears. Yes, it's as stupid as it sounds. And that's before we get to the monsters, which appear to have been designed using clip art, Windows Movie Maker, and tears. The animation is so poor it borders on conceptual art. Characters don't move so much as they glide stiffly through time, mouths flapping with no sense of emotion or rhythm. Backgrounds look like they were borrowed from a forgotten PS1 game, and fight scenes, if they can even be called that, resemble rehearsals at a student pantomime. The monsters are rendered in abysmal CG that genuinely looks unfinished, like someone hit export halfway through a render and said, "Es good enough." Dialogue is delivered with all the urgency and energy of an HR training video. Emotional beats fall flat, relationships appear from thin air, and somehow, despite the world ending, nobody seems particularly bothered. The music, it exists. That's the nicest thing I can say. Gibate is so breathtakingly, astonishingly bad that it stops being merely bad and becomes an accidental comedy. I have laughed harder at this anime than at some actual comedies. Whether it's the uncanny character expressions, the stiff as cardboard acting, or shocking plot twists you can see coming 3 pandemics away, it never fails to surprise with its dedication to mediocrity. There is no reason to watch Gibate unless you are an archaeologist, and this is the only surviving artifact of our civilization. In which case, I sincerely apologize. Watching Gibate is like being stuck in traffic with someone narrating their fanfiction at you in Latin through a broken megaphone. It doesn't just waste your time, it makes you question the value of time itself. There are shows about demons. There are shows about teenage onks. And then there's Chainsaw Man, which feels like what would happen if a teenage boy scribbled his trauma, horniness, and nihilism into a spiral notebook during detention, and then that notebook was adapted into prestige anime by a studio with an unhealthy Red Bull budget. At the center of the chaos is Denji, a dirt-poor orphan with one goal in life: touch boobs. That's not a metaphor. That's his actual character arc, at least initially. Denji's motivations are not lofty. He doesn't want to save the world. He doesn't want to become Hokage. He just wants jam on his toast and the occasional grope. Somehow this makes him one of the more relatable protagonists in recent anime memory. He's not a chosen one. He's a dog on a leash, literally, at times. The show is violent. No, violently violent. Limbs are chainsawed, intestines fly with the grace of cherry blossoms, and demons are dispatched with the kinetic energy of a punk rock video directed by Satan. And yet beneath the gore-soaked spectacle is a surprisingly somber meditation on trauma, poverty, and the commodification of people. It's Fight Club for anime fans who prefer their philosophy to come with decapitations. And then there's Makima. Oh yes, Makima, the red-eyed enigma who weaponizes sexual tension with the precision of a drone strike. She's what happens when you cross Big Sister is watching you with The Devil Wears Prada. Her manipulation of Denji isn't just creepy, it's clinical. If Chainsaw Man were about vampires, she'd be the one holding the contract and asking if you're ready to sign in blood. And you would. Supporting characters like Power, a gremlin with girlboss energy and the hygiene of a wet raccoon, and Orky, sad, pretty, and destined for tragedy, help anchor the story in emotional realism. You don't just watch them suffer, you feel it. The cigarettes, the shared noodles, the awful silence of trauma. The show takes the time to let you live in the moments between massacres, and that's what makes it hurt more when the blood starts flying again. Chainsaw Man is deeply cynical but emotionally sincere. It's about how survival sometimes means becoming the very thing you feared. It's also about chainsaws coming out of a guy's face. Does it always make sense? No. Does it care? Also no. That's part of its punk ethos. It's messy, erratic, bloody, horny, and often juvenile, but then it blindsides you with a moment of existential clarity that leaves you staring at the screen like someone just uppercut your soul. I give Chainsaw Man 3.5 stars. Not because it's perfect, it isn't, but because it knows what it is. A beautifully animated punch to the face with just enough heartbreak to make you feel human again. Chainsaw Man is absurd, obscene, and occasionally profound. It's not about heroes. It's about dogs, devils, and broken people trying to find warmth in a cold, bloody world.